Hello there, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me today. Right, we are back here in Planet Zoo and we're in our new zoo. This is Volcano Bay Zoo. And in our last episode we were finishing off our front area here. So this is our park entrance. As you walk in you get this huge random globe over the top of a small volcano. We have our lovely glass and modern wood building at the end here, and over on the right we have our small lake with lots of very fancy fountains and a bit of rock work. So this is where today's episode is going to be, and I decided I wanted to put some animals in here, and I thought it made sense because it's only a shallow lake, so it's actually perfect territory for some hippos. So that is what I decided to put in here. My main thinking was, because I had this lovely opening here where the animals could come and go, I wanted some sort of a viewing building over the back, a curved viewing area where people could walk through and watch the animals out here on the land. And then really if you wanted to see them in the water, you'd be standing along this area here to view them into the water. So that is what I set about doing, and I came up with this idea. So this is showing you how I create a round building. Now I'm sure many of you have done this yourselves, then you know exactly what this technique is. But essentially you have your central post here. You then build one row all the way out as far as you want to go, depending on how big you want the roundness of the building to be. You then duplicate that on the other side, so you end up with a mirror image. Then you do rotation, and you set it to, in this case, 5 degrees. So that would have been your original one. I then rotate it 5 degrees over to here. Now in this case I did duplicate it again, and what you can do is duplicate it round and round and round until it's all full up, and that's how you create round things basically. But obviously what I want to do was actually build a building like this, so I used that technique to get this structure in at the end here. So essentially I knew if I could get this basic shape like it is and then duplicate this beside itself, it would end up being that big. It would connect directly to here if it curved enough, and then if I put it this way it would come around to here and it would come around to here. So that's what I end up doing. I don't use this actual technique to do the turning of the building. In the end I just duplicated what was here and moved it sideways. You'll see what I do and why I do it, but yeah, so that was the idea, because I wanted it to be a curved building, but it's very hard to do that freeform because of getting these angles absolutely precise, so that when you move this and put it next to itself, it curves in the right way. It's pretty tricky to explain exactly what I'm talking about, but I hope you kind of grasp the idea. So anyway, that was my basic structure, and this was dictated by the path size, because I obviously wanted it to be usable. So I set it, I think I got a 10-meter pathway, yes, and that was how I worked out how deep to make the building so that I could fit a 10-meter pathway in it. In fact, I may actually have only gone with an 8-meter one and given myself a bit of extra room at the front and the back. I think possibly even 9. I can't remember. I think I may have gone with 9 actually, to allow myself just a bit of leeway at the front and the back. I can't remember, but that was my basic theory anyway. So my thinking was I wanted that building, because if you look here you've got that sort of a naturally rounded area of sunken land here. So I wanted the building to wrap around the back here somewhere, so that people could stand in there and view it, and then it would be accessed at this end with a pathway coming over and connecting in over here, and then this end would be sealed off with rock work connecting it to these rocks here. That was kind of my thinking. So the hippos have got this area to come out onto the land, and then obviously they've got a huge area of water to go in as well. So that was my thinking. There we go. So let's move on, because this is quite a long process building this thing, but it turned out really nice actually. So yeah, let me load up my next point and we'll see what I did next. Okay, so we've got rid of all the structure because I'd got my basic shape in here now. So I wanted this. I wanted it to be very see-through. I didn't want it to look too solid. So the side, because it's going to obviously it's going to curve that way. So the side which was facing the water, I wanted it to be glass. So I went with these glass panels just side by side there, but I didn't want the back to be solid, so I went with trellis, or an arbor as they call it. We call it trellis in England, because I wanted it to be open. I didn't want it to feel too enclosed while you were inside it there. Nice solid stone work on the corners, because it needs to look like a nice strong structure, and then the wooden beams as the framework. The flooring are, what have we got here, planks of just normal wooden planks here actually. So again, this is the important bit, is getting these lines in just the right place, getting these angles correct, because the idea is once you've built this section, you just you move it next to it, you angle it by the same 5 degrees, and that should then, if you look at that, it lines up perfectly, and then you just have to kind of maneuver it like this to get it exactly lined up, and hey presto, you've got a building which is just starting to curve, you see. So that's the basic theory, and it works perfectly in the end, so that's good. I went with bricks front and back, so again just making it look like a nice solid ground base for the structure. The tricky bit actually was the roof. As anyone who's played this game knows, it's very hard to do roofs that aren't basic square shapes. So a roof this odd shape, what would this shape be? Is it trapezoid, I think, where you've got one of these sides shorter than the other and then angled in between? I think that's trapezoid, but I could be wrong. That's my GCSE maths failing me as usual. But yeah, I think that's roughly what it was. Anyway, so yeah, so the ceiling was the tricky bit. But I was really happy with how this turned out actually. The floor looked really nice. I liked the combination of the different textures. You got 2 different woods. You got stone, bricks, glass, another wood back here. So lots of different textures going on, but actually I think it all worked quite nicely. But yeah, the roof was the real challenge. I think that's probably what I did next. So let me load up the next point and we'll take a look. And here we have our almost finished building. So you can see by the roof, let me show you how I did this. So I used these small, what are they, African sticks panel, and it was pretty straightforward in the end. But it obviously it does mean that they kind of overlap inside, although luckily they don't overlap at strange angles, so it doesn't look too bad. You know, there's a few bits here that kind of stick out where they don't quite line up, but that's inevitable. But essentially what I did was do a line of 2 of them, no sorry, 3 of them actually, because it's 3 wide at the top here, you see, or no, sort of 2 and a bit wide, yeah. So there's a whole strip of them, kind of, it's hard to show you, but it's kind of, there's a strip like that, and then you've got a separate strip on this side of the building, kind of in that direction, and then you just mold them together and they meet up at the end. So I think it looks really good actually. It all lines up on the top here. It's all nice and flat. It creates a nice shape as well around the front once you duplicate it over. So yeah, so the only bit that doesn't look great is just this little back bit here where they meet, but you know what, I don't care, it's fine. Yeah, so that's all I did, was just that, and then like I showed you in the last clip, you just copy and edit and turn it around 5 degrees each time and keep adding and adding and adding, and eventually that's what I ended up with, a full semicircle. I could have made it bigger, I could have made it less, but I thought a semicircle made it fill that gap in nicely. I didn't want it to be entirely enclosing sort of between these 2 bits of rock, because obviously I wanted a good bit of access for the hippos. So I needed a bit of space here. For a start, I needed to put the path in. So the path obviously will sit just underneath all of this, and it goes right from this end all the way around here. And then I needed to create some steps at this end to bring it down to the ground, and then it would come along here and join in here. But I needed room in here for an entrance, obviously an actual habitat entrance, with some kind of building in as well. So that obviously you'll get to see what I do there in a minute. And this end as well obviously needed a bit of work. I needed to enclose this with more brickwork here and more trellis here, and then just mould it into these rocks with some more rocks. So yeah, but as a building, I thought it turned out really nicely actually there, so I was very pleased with it. It's my first attempt to do something quite like this and this particular technique, so I was pretty pleased with how it turned out actually. And I think it's just about the right sort of shape and size for this area. It kind of blends in with the size and sort of stature of these other buildings. So yeah, I was very pleased with how that looks. Don't know what I do next, but I'll load up my next point and we'll find out. Right, we have lots of changes here. For start, we have people in our zoo. Yes, I opened the zoo and we do have guests coming in. Which is really cool. You can see they actually stand around and look out over the lake. They use the benches. They do not come into this area yet. I had to do a bit of work to encourage them in there, which you'll see soon. We also have our hippos in. We have a family of 4, I believe. I think. Hang on. Where's the fourth? Maybe the fourth's just being brought in. Not sure. I'm sure there's 4. Oh no, there's 4 of them. There we go. So yeah, so what's in here now? We have our hippos. We have some enrichment items. So all the different enrichment items, as you can see, they're having a lot of fun. Look at him playing with his wheel there. That's very clever how he's managed to put it up on end. very impressive that. So yeah, so our hippos are in. Let's see, who have we got? We've got Akuchi, Lekon, Nombeko. Great names, and Mwamba. That's cool. That's a good name. I like that. He's having a lot of fun with this thing, isn't he? I mean, look at the size of that. I'm not even sure a hippo would be able to move that. That must weigh a ton. But he's trying his best. He's doing well. So we've also got our pathway in. So like I said, it links in over here. Curves around here. I put some more rock work here because I don't really want people to be able to see through here. Unfortunately, they do gather on the stairs. So what I actually did here was just lower the rocks there so they can almost see over. I don't know how you can stop people from standing in certain places. I don't think you can. So, you know, if they're going to stand there, I've at least made it look like they can just about see over there. But the main bit, obviously, is in here. So the pathway, as you can see, just goes below the level of this. I put benches, lots and lots of benches all around the back. I really wanted this to be an area where you'd get a lot of people just coming in and sitting down and just observing the animals through the glass, because it's yeah, it looks lovely, doesn't it? You'd want to spend a bit of time in here looking out at the hippos. So the path curls all the way around. Obviously it does chop their feet off when you do this kind of technique where you have the path just below an in-game structure, but not to worry about that. They don't need their feet, do they? And the path comes around and it does end here. I couldn't quite get it to come up to the end. The spacing didn't quite work, and unfortunately I tried to start the pathway here, but then when I got to this end it didn't work much either, because you ended up with a much bigger flat area, and it just didn't look right. So I thought this was the lesser of two evils, where you do end up with a bit of a flat area here. But of course I can hide this in amongst rocks, and it does end up looking really nice. So that's that, and obviously our park entrance, our habitat entrance is here with a little keeper hut. So my thinking here was I had to change this. Originally this was a normal pathway, and all the guests were walking down here and they were standing over here watching the animals, so that's no good. So I had to make this a keeper only path. Now, one thing I really don't like about the game is the fact that the keeper-only paths look so stupid. I don't know why they've only done this weird pattern with these symbols in as the keeper paths. Why can't you have a keeper path that looks like a normal path? it could look exactly the same as that and just be programmed so that the guests don't walk on it. I don't know why no one has thought of doing that, because it doesn't look like a good path and there's no way of covering it up. So yeah, if you're listening, Frontier, then please do that, because it's such a simple thing. Just change the graphics of a keeper path. It's really not complicated. Anyway, sorry, that's my moan over for the day. So my thinking was that I wanted to build a building around here, so this would all be hidden inside some kind of a building. So that was my plan for that, and then just some gardens to sort of blend all of this together. Bit of work on the other side here of the steps as well, and obviously I need to do a bit of foliage in here. Not too much, I didn't want a lot. Hippos wouldn't really allow much foliage to survive. They would just eat everything, just walk on it and destroy it in general. So yeah, I didn't want to do too much in here, just a little bit, and a little bit around the water as well, just bits and pieces here and there. But as you can see, our hippos are very happy. They look at here. That's a happy hippo, isn't it? Just having a snooze in the shallows. That's brilliant. That's exactly what you want to see a hippo doing. Yeah, brilliant. Actually, one enrichment item that I hadn't put in at this point was the large waterfall. So that does come in, and that comes over here somewhere as well. And lighting, of course, is still to be done. So there we go. Let's move on, and we'll see what I got up to next. So I've just done a little bit of decorating around the water's edge here. Not too much yet. I do some more. Just wanted to put a few sort of dead trees in here. I kind of thought hippos would strip any trees of their foliage potentially. I don't know. It just looked good. I didn't want to put any big trees around to sort of block the view, considering that you're meant to be looking from over here. You know, if you had huge trees in here, you wouldn't really appreciate the beauty of the surroundings. So that was my thinking there. Like I said, the fountain waterfally type enrichment thing has gone in over there. This is the main area that I've been working on, which is the building up here. So again, it's a functional building, so it doesn't need to be too fancy. So it's a basic brick and asphalt building. You've got the large entrance here for the hippos potentially to get in and out. Small door here with a light for humans. And then on this side, you've just got one double door here with a light for people to get in and out. Now, it did occur to me that the hippos themselves don't actually have somewhere to come out of the building, so I mean for like deliveries, but I'm not doing an ultra realistic zoo, so I'm not too fussed about that sort of thing. The thinking here was that purely that means that there's some sort of indoors area here that they can open up that the hippos could go into if they need to. And obviously in here there is nothing. You've got the entrance and you've got a keeper hut, and obviously the people just walk through the walls, but it's fine. It's the look that I was going for, so yeah, that's all good. And then a few conifers put around as well. Just added a few more in here and around this rock work here as well. One in the middle here. I just thought it needed something in the middle here. And then this end I've just blended together with some more rocks, a couple more conifers, obviously filled in the end of the building here as well. So that all looks nice and finished off too. And then out here, just again some very simple rock work and foliage. So you've just got some of these the turkey crimson bushes here. See, I'm starting to learn the names after all these years of playing this game. I'm finally starting to learn the names. Did I say turkey crimson? I meant crimson turkey. You know what I mean. Anyway, all along here, and then you've got the creosote bush here, and then brambles along the front here. So really, really simple. I didn't want these to be really fancy flower beds or anything, because they wouldn't be. In a garden, in a zoo the size that this one is going to be, you wouldn't have too many really intricate flower beds, because they just take so much looking after. Which I know because I am a gardener in real life, so believe me, I know how much work goes into looking after a nice flower bed. So yeah, stuff like this, you know, these sort of basic bushes, they need cutting once, maybe twice a year, and that's basically it. So that's why you would find large areas of stuff like that. And also over here, I've just done a little bit more rock work on this side of the staircase here, just finishing that off as well. So we're nearly done actually for this. I bit of lighting work to do, and then a bit more work in the water here. A few details with some reeds and things around here, and some bits and pieces around the land area. You can see I've already done some painting actually, so I have sort of got rid of a lot of the grass here, made it a bit more muddy, particularly where I think the animals would be walking, so up around the mud pits here. So most of it is mud, just the odd hint of some grasses coming through, but not too much, because animals like hippos and elephants, you really don't get grass in their enclosures because they're so heavy, they walk around, they just kill the grass quite quickly. So yeah, that was my thinking there. So I think just one more save point and we'll be done for this habitat. But yeah, I mean, look at it, it's coming together very nicely actually. I think it looks rather picturesque, and our hippos are very happy. They have a huge area of water to go in. They don't seem to go far, unfortunately. I mean, I've not really been watching them closely, but they do tend to hang around over here. They don't tend to come right the way over here. I did at one point consider putting an island or something over here, and that may be something that I come back to do at some point, but for now I thought I would leave it like it was. But it may be that I come back and put an island in here, just to try and encourage them to come over here, because I was thinking I could do an island with a shelter somewhere undercover for them to get to, and it would just bring them a bit closer. So if you were viewing from over here, you would get a slightly more up close and personal view of them potentially. So that's something I might come back and do in another episode, but for now that's going to be it. But yes, I have just got one more cut I think, and then we'll see the finished product. So let's take a look at that. And here we are with our finished hippo habitat. So quite a lot more foliage put in. I did think the water looked a little bit bare, so I've gone with sort of little bunches of reeds. We also have some of the papyrus as well, which I thought looked really nice. So there's random bunches of that scattered around the edge, a little bit out in the middle here and there as well. Yeah, so just to give the water just a little bit more interest. Bit around the shore here as well, and then I did this. I thought this looked really nice actually. So this is the elephant grass, and I've just sunk it right down into the ground, and it just makes it look like you've got all these tufts of grass. Obviously here it's in the water, so you get to see a bit more of it, but even these are sunk quite deep into the ground. But actually up on the land here I think it looks really nice. It just suggests that you've got some longer tufts of grass growing through. I needed something around here just to break up the flatness of the soil and the mud, particularly around these two mud pools here. So I just went with some of the grass, makes it sort of overlapped so it looks like it's kind of spreading into the mud a little bit as well. I thought that looked okay. Got a few shrubs around the back, nothing too much, just one or two little shrubs there. I thought the only place you'd really get these sorts of shrubs would be around the edge here, where maybe the hippos don't really go too much, because otherwise they'd just get trampled. So that was my thinking there. So yeah, I think that worked out really nicely actually, just that extra little bit of foliage here and there. So that was the habitat done. Just a little bit more work I think around outside. So I put some lights in. I'll put it over to night time in just a minute so you can see the lights, but I've continued the same theme with these nice posh lamps along the road here, and on the stairs. Make sure the stairs are well lit at night. Coming in here, I've added a couple of bins in. I also, down at this end, because I really wanted to encourage people to come down to this end, put a couple of vending machines in here as well. So as you can see, people do come all the way down this end to get some food and some drink as well. That's as far as they can walk there because the path ends, unfortunately. But they do come down, and you do get people standing all around these windows watching the animals, which is really cool. There are these, actually, I think they did add into the game, didn't they? A little observation point or something. Am I right in thinking that? It's not something that I've used. Let me just have a look. I'm sure it's in here somewhere. I think it's like a vista point, or am I thinking of the wrong game? I might be thinking of Planet Coaster. Maybe they did it in that. No, here it is. Yeah, the vista point. That's the one. So I think the idea of this is that you can put it somewhere. Like I could put it into this wall just here, and it encourages people to come and stand next to it and watch the animals. I think that's the idea, so that you can encourage people to come and stand in a particular place. Let me just put one in there and I'll see what happens. I'll see if more people stand right next to it here. I don't know if there's like any sort of information about it, about what it does and how it works. No. Although look, they've instantly just stopped there and are looking at it. Unfortunately, they're looking through a concrete wall, which isn't so good. But you know, you get the idea. That people do stand here and watch, so it's all good, and you'd get a lovely view from here, wouldn't you, of these hippos? So yeah, I'm pretty pleased actually with that. So that's our habitat. We are done, I think. Oh yes, I was going to show you the night time, wasn't I? So let me show you. I've gone subtle with the lighting. You know, nothing too bold. So in the water, I put a light down underneath each of these lion heads because I thought they needed to be lit up at night, even though obviously you can't really see them when you're up here, but by the time you come over to this viewing area here, you can see them in the distance. They're all lit up, so that looks really cool, I think. And then around the edge of the lake, again, I've just dotted some lights on the edge here by the rocks. So these are the same lights. These are my go-to lights. These are the best lights in the game, these ones, because you can colour them. They look really good. They're nice and flat, you know, so you can put them everywhere. And they actually generate good light as well, because some of the lights don't really do a lot. They don't actually produce a lot of light, so they're not really much use. But these ones are. So there's those all around the edge here. We've got obviously a couple of lights on the building. We have the street lamps, and then actually in here, so we have the lights on the outside of this building, which I've made orange because I wanted that building to just stand out as a slightly different colour. So I think they look great actually, having those orange lights. And I didn't need to do lights inside because those lights do spread in here, and I thought this was just enough light here for people to still walk around and look. So yeah, there we go. Pretty cool. I'm yeah, very happy with how all that worked out. Let's get it back to daylight. So there we go. That is our hippo habitat. I'm really pleased with this one. I think this building looked really good. I mean, in my head it looked really good, and then when I actually built it, it turned out just as good as I was hoping. So, which is surprising for me, because usually I plan things and then they end up looking completely different. But actually this turned out pretty much how I wanted it to. Yeah, there's not a lot I would change about this, to be honest. Like I said, I may come back at some point and put a small island over here somewhere. But I'm not too fussed. I think the hippos do probably spread a little bit more in the water. I seem to recall from previous zoos that the pygmy hippos go further through the water than the big hippos. So I maybe I could introduce some pygmy hippos into here. I may not though, because I kind of like the idea of having the animals separate. This obviously over here is going to be a huge lake, so maybe pygmy hippos might be part of that. I'm not too sure yet. For now, that's going to be my hippo habitat. So there we go. That is all done. I'm really pleased with this one. Please do let me know if you've got any thoughts or comments that you want to make, whether they be good or bad. If you don't know what I've done, please let me know. I don't care. You know, I can take criticism. So yeah, you can say whatever you want. But if you have liked it, please say that as well, and you can hit the like button for me too, because that really helps the channel out. And next episode is going to be a big one. It's going to be a long episode, I think, because I'm working on our Volcano project over here. I'm still only sort of halfway through building it at the moment as I do these commentaries, so I know already that it's going to be epic, and there's a lot going on over there. I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing or what animals are going in there. You're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, it's good so far. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. It's turning out really, really good. So I look forward to showing you that at some point pretty soon. Like I said, these episodes may not come out as regularly as Tiny Zoo, my other current zoo project, purely because these these projects are much bigger and take a lot more time to build, so I'm not going to be able to produce them as regularly as the smaller habitats that I do over in Tiny Zoo. So yeah, just enjoy them when they do come out. I'm certainly having a lot of fun building them. So let's leave it there. Let's just get a little aerial view of our zoo so far. I think it's looking lovely so far. I'm really enjoying this one. So there we go. I will hopefully see you again very soon. Until then, take care. Goodbye for now.